And I'm happy to say, joining us from Vancouver, the legend, Chaos. How are you, man?
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. Congrats on the new EP.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be putting something out during this time?
Um, you know what? It's a lot of it is just kind of an kind of weird kismet because I didn't know because I don't know if the people know, but when you upload something on like a any kind of distribution that's online, they give you a date and they say when do you want to upload it? And my manager, she was like Laura, she was like, let's do like May 29th. And we had no idea what was going to be happening in the world at that time. And a lot of people have been like, this is such a timely thing and whatever. Like if I sat here and lied and said, yeah, we planned to put this out when all this madness was happening, I would be like, whatever. I thought by like May 29th, everything would be back to normal. Cause I don't know if people know, also I'm in Vancouver right now. So I'm thinking Ontario's going to be open, everything's going to be open. And maybe this record would come when actually people weren't being on lockdown. But it's really weird and interesting. I did not plan to do it, but in a weird way, it's worked out in that way too, where I think people have been able to take it in because people put out records now, and sometimes people don't. They hit you up. Your fans are like, I didn't even know you had a record out because there's so much music for people to process all the time. So I think what has happened is that now people can actually sit back and like take something in because they got the time to do it, and that's the best part. It's like the circumstance. So it's cool.
It's
I also don't want to be that person that like there's this thing for me as an artist where I had conversations with other artists where it's like, now we got them, they have to listen to us. It's also that kind of
yeah,
aspect where you don't want to be an artist putting out music because people could be forced to listen to you. So
yeah.
it's a hard thing to negotiate. You don't want to like intrude on people's time. You don't know what they're thinking or what they're going through. And it's just weird. I just think I just trust the universe, kind of sort of.
Yeah, what I find interesting about it is that these albums that have been coming out, like your record, I think of a couple other records, Tim Baker's record comes to mind. These are records that were, like you said, were recorded, that were made months, if not years, before the current situation that we found themselves in. But they're somehow still timely. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we never could have, like you said, we never could have predicted it. But
No.
it can give you a bit of comfort or perspective on what we're going through. It's a bit spooky.
I'm kind of obsessed that way as an artist, and those who are my friends and my family know I'm always trying to make music that can be played. My whole term is always 100 years from now. Is this a song that people would be into? Just because I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, I'm a huge Neil Young fan, I like folk music. That's the culture I come from. And so to me, Bob Marley, folk music, I feel like, will the song be relevant 100 years from now? If it's not, why am I putting it out? No disrespect to like club music, but that's not really relevant right now because there's no club to go to. And so a lot of things have come to mind during this whole lockdown is your music something that can speak to people in this specific situation? Because obviously you make music based on the situation you're in at the time, but that completely always changes. So it's kind of something that's always been a theme of mine, always been something I've been obsessed with from like my first album, Exit, like Heaven Only Knows. It's like, okay, maybe this song could be played 100 years from now and it still be relevant. And I think it just works out nice that that's always sort of been my line of thinking. I'm not going to sit in this interview and go like, oh, I really wanted to make something timely. It's just something that I'm almost too obsessed with, where like a guy at a record company would be like, no, this is a fun song, just put it out. The dog is mine. That doesn't have to be relevant like 100 years from now. So sometimes you have to let it go. But I am that person that's always like, how relevant will this music be down the line?
So tell me about some of the things you were writing about on this new EP.
It's really deep, and like I I will say emotionally that like I've always sort of wanted to make music that would push things forward. As a Canadian, as a Black Canadian, as someone that's West Indian, my goal when I came to the music industry, when I got signed, was to make music that like realized that as people here, as West Indians, whether you're from Haiti, Trinidad, Jamaica, we don't have that 400 years of history that America has, where you have to be true to a certain aesthetic and a certain voice. We can just do whatever we want to do. So my thing was always like, why in the last 3 or 4 years in Canada our whole landscape of our music sounds so American. It was something that was really like bothering me. And I think the whole aspect of Bushido, which is the name of the EP, which comes from a Japanese term, Bushido, Bushido. I didn't spell it that way because it's just the way of the warrior. I didn't want to like appropriate that
Yeah.
word, so I changed it a bit. But I think just a warrior for music that is authentic to my environment. And I don't think the music that's been popular in Canada over the last few years is authentic to our environment. It is because it just is. Like it's authentic because people like it. So you can't really argue that fact, but it's not authentic to a Canadian experience. And it always kind of irked me. Like, why are people so obsessed? Why is Canada going this way where the Black music in our country sounds American? You turn on the radio and it's like every big artist that's making it sounds like an American artist. So Bushido kind of comes from the thing of like, no, I'm not going to be that dude. Like I could do that, and America has influenced my music, like Tribe Called Quest, KRS One, Bob Dylan, all these people. Like this is like next to me right now. Like this is I live by this, and he's not Canadian, so I do believe in American music affecting us. But I think the whole concept of this record was just to be like, I was a little angry. That's like protest music has always been. So I've been protesting for a very long time, Tom. And so when people are like protest, it's just like, so that's what it really comes from. It's just the way of the warrior, the chivalry, meaning that like, I do respect artists who have made it and who have had good careers. I do respect artists who have been successful, but I am sort of a little incensed that with all the great music from Canada, Dream Warriors, Maestro Fresh West, Socrates, the list goes on, Classified, I could just keep going, Matt Mays, Sam Roberts, we've had and then all of a sudden we went this way. So it kind of comes from that. That's where Bushido comes from. It's just the sort of being like, I'm going to stay true to my lane, regardless of what is popular at the time.
Is that why? Is that why you worked with Kaytranada on this? Kaytranada,
Exactly.
out of Montreal, really,
Exactly.
really unique sounding. He doesn't sound like anybody else. He sounds like a late night in Montreal. Is that what brought you to him?
I did it. You got it. I don't even want to talk on your question because you just said everything in 2 sentences that I could. His name's also Kevin. A lot of people came up to me and were like, "Have you heard this Crucial remix he did?" Like people came to me. I found him because everyone was like, "This kid did a remix of your song," and then I found him, and then we linked up, and then he was a super nice guy, and we just started on email, and then he would just send me like literally like drop box of beats, like 20, 30, 40 beats. And so what you heard is there's so much more. We were actually going to make a group called Kevin because his first name's Kevin as well. That's how it starts. Like, let's just do this group thing. And then he kind of blew up and then we went our separate ways. But during all that, some songs got made and that's what people are hearing right now. So he's just such an interesting, weird dude. He's very humble. We tried to get him on this interview, everybody, but he's just like, he's that guy. It's like, I don't need to talk. I'm just a producer. Like he really is hip hop in that way where he's like, my music will do the talking. So he's a blessing to me because as we all know, I'm a huge fan of David Bowie. And one of the things he always said is like an artist needs to be current and you always need to like connect with young producers. You always need to find the young guy that's coming up and like, it's a little bit pretentious to go combing through producers and be like, who's going to produce me? But this guy just came to me. So I feel very blessed that it happened this way because it's just a fan and here it is.
It's interesting too because it means that you got you as this guy who kind of broke out, started making all these big records that kind of meant a lot to a lot of Canadians. You are now at the point where the people you influenced are grown up. The people you influence are starting to make their own records. The people you influence are starting to have success of their own. And now they're coming to work with you. That must be meaningful.
Yeah, I'm a rap dad. And like, it's cool in some way. I mean, yes. It's like, what can I say? Like, there's this, we can psychoanalyze it, this whole idea that Jay-Z and Kanye are the first guys to be like married rappers. People put a lot of pressure on these guys, Jay-Z, Kanye, they judge them, but it's like, really and truly, hip hop has grown up. Like, you can be married now and have children. I'm not married. I don't even have a girlfriend. I don't have children, but I have all these kids running around that were like, I was in grade 7 when so-and-so dropped. And it is kind of the feeling of having kids because they kind of regurgitate back to you and remind you kind of like how it was. So it's a great thing. It takes getting used to because I still feel youthful.
Yeah.
Um, I'm still the guy in a hoodie with sunglasses doing an interview,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm like, I know the time has elapsed and like my music is becoming 10, 15, 20 years old now. So it's an interesting thing, as I'm sure everyone's going through. I'm sure Broken Social Scene's going through it. I'm sure Metric's going through it. It's like, it's just the black music has somehow taken off in Canada where you actually can see it. You can see these young kids singing and rapping and doing all the things that when I started doing it was kind of outlawed. So it's a great thing to see.
That
It's
must be
beautiful.
meaningful. I mean, you're right. I mean, it goes without saying that black music has exploded in popularity in this country in a way that it hasn't done in generations past. That must be meaningful to
Right.
you too.
I think so. I think that a lot of kids, like, come on, we're in the same kind of generation. You know how it was back in the day, like the Junos, no one really cared.
Yeah.
No one really cared about
Yeah, Northern Touch.
that.
Northern Touch was on the pre-show, not on the main show, you know?
Exactly. And like then the weekend came and he had a handful of Junos. And then Drake came and so I think the younger generation is opening up to being, it's kind of cool to become from this country and to be applauded by this country. And like a lot of that comes from black music. And I will say this based on my earlier statement, even though I am critical of artists that have taken the route of making American music sort of their muse for music, the good thing about it is by them becoming popular in America, a lot of young kids are like, feel proud about that.
Yeah.
That's something celebrated. Um, you know, there's negatives and positives to every movement. But I do think a lot of kids now, as Terry McBride, one of my managers said, like the internet has made the world flat. So basically, you could be like in Sudbury right now and just like get online and go to a boiler room or watch something, and it's like just like you're there. It's no longer when we were kids where it's like I gotta walk. How do I get to Toronto to see a show I like? You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's made a lot. I think the good thing about that is that in black music being at the forefront, people are a little more proud to stand up and say, I'm Canadian. And that's a good feeling.
I have to ask you about this. I mean, we're looking at the protests happening all around the world right now. The world, in some ways, waking up to anti-black racism. In other ways, people are saying we've been talking about this all along. It's about time. As an artist, as an entertainer, just as a person, I mean, how are you interpreting what's going on right now?
It's it's like an emotional thing for me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to talk about because I feel like, I got a lot of comments like, you're so underrated, or like, how come like, where's chaos? Like, what happened? Like, people, they look at my career and a lot of people question based on my talent level, like the level that I got to in my career. And I can say now on television that it is a form of racism, that Canada was not ready for someone of my particular hue of color to lead the forefront. And hey, that's okay. But it also realized how desensitized I got to it, where I was like okay with it when I shouldn't have been okay with it. But what can I really do? Like, you know what I mean? It's like my dad would always say, no one told you to pick up a microphone and a guitar. It's like, once you do that, you're putting yourself in a realm where you're just at the people's at the bay of people. It's different when you're a musician because the people make you. When you're protesting and you're doing Black Lives Matter, it's hard. I can't really connect it to my career because I'm an entertainer. It's so frivolous. It's so meaningless compared to like these people who are fighting for something so much bigger. So for me, I do relate in the sense of I have been a victim of systematic racism. I think people judge me a certain way, the things I've said in the past, because they're just not used to it. So it's good to see those changes happening. But I'm very wary of criticizing or coming out and saying anything because I'm an entertainer. And in that, sometimes I feel what I do is a little bit too frivolous to like link back to something that's such a serious issue. I would never try to it's not my time to be angry about all the things that happened to me because someone was just murdered like a wild animal. So I've had a good life. My dad ran an airline for years. People know my story. I'm from Whitby, Ontario. I drove like Volvos to school. It's like, for me to sit here and be like, yeah, it's just like, I'm privileged. I've appropriated Black music. I'm not from the Bronx. I'm not from Queens. So for me to sit up here and be like, oh yes, there is a bit of me that's like, okay, cool. Definitely. I hope there's a lot of people in Canada going like, yo, Chaos has been down with this from a long time. And maybe I kind of misjudged him. If I get that, I'm good. But as far as what's happening in the US, it's so much deeper than it's so hard to process as a Canadian because we also are voyeurs of American culture. Like I feel guilty being in Vancouver, going to a bar that's open now because there's no COVID. And then I turn on the TV and there's like black people that look like my relatives that are fighting for rights. You know what I mean? It's easy to repost a recycled meme, but it's like, is that going to do anything? So it's a very difficult thing to process. I'm happy it's happening, but I'm not going to sit here and be like I'm a person of protest. I think my music was protesting in the sense of in a certain way,
Yeah.
but I'm very weary of standing on a soapbox right now.
But
I'm happy. I'm electric that it's happening. It's a great question, but I don't want to be the person that's like, I think I'm so far from it.
yeah.
I'm so in Vancouver chilling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That it's very difficult for me, even though my skin color and everything that I am speaks to that, my struggle isn't like their struggle. So I'm just happy for them that they're like doing their thing and like I can be a part of it. People ask me questions. I have this platform where people are like, do you want to talk about it? I can, but it's very difficult as a Canadian to speak on it without feeling that you're so far removed from it in a way.
Is it coming
That's
out
all
in
I
your music though? Like I think about you. You mentioned Tribe, and you mentioned Neil Young, and you mentioned Bob Dylan. I mean, these are all, and I would include you in this. These are artists that look at the world. I mean, and not all your songs are about fun. Like all your songs are about real things that are happening in the world. Like you say, you want your songs to last for hundreds of years. Are you processing this moment through music at all? Are you writing through this?
I am. I think that the best part about it is that like hopefully this isn't something that just lasts a couple months or a couple
Yeah.
weeks. Um, Again, I just go back to the thing that I've been on this for a minute. So not a lot has changed for me. I'm just gonna keep writing music that means something. For the artists out there, the black artists out there, and the black people in Canada who have been on the bandwagon of the trap music wave, I would ask them to reprocess what they're really doing and realize that that's not the music of the struggle right now. What's the music of the struggle? How am I processing this through money, through music? It's very difficult to play a future track at Black Lives Matter. It's very difficult to play any track that's been popular in the last 5 years during this protest. That says something. I don't have to say anything. It's not the music of the struggle. So obviously it's a certain other type of music. Can I name it or critique it? Sure, I could call it, Uncle Tom. I could say a million things that, no disrespect. I could call it a million different, I could put it in many different categories. But then again, I don't want to critique people right now. This is not the time for that. But it definitely, nobody's out there struggling for their rights playing, you know, God's plan. They're just not. So that says something to me. Why not? Why isn't that music being played as a background to the struggle? Because it's not progressive. So it is what it is. It's not. I don't even have to say that. That's just what it
But
is.
are you
So
are you
I'm
writing
honestly,
are you writing music then that is reflective of the moment that we're in right now? Right now, like are you finding
no,
yourself
I'm not
inspired?
because it's everyday struggle.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. It's like I hate to be that person and say that, but it's like this is just what it's been for me.
Yeah.
It's like my music doesn't really have to change that much because I've always been writing from the standpoint of things need to get better. And that's why the crucial Kaytranada remix, which is basically 15 years old, has relevance now, 15 years later, because I was talking about those things 15 years ago. The shot down in the dark was like still me thinking about like how many people have tried to sort of get this message to people and never made it. So it's a really weird thing for me because I don't have to wake up today and go, I think I'll just there's a lot of people that I can let speak for me now. But the music, I don't wake up with a more designed purpose to write music. If anything, I want to take sort of a step back and like let other people come to the fold. I would love to see a lot of artists who don't write in the spectrum write in the spectrum. Like this must be an awakening for a lot of other people too,
Yeah.
who maybe they start realizing their music isn't the music of the struggle and they have songs that they want to. I would love to produce that or be a part of that or be behind the scenes for these young Canadian artists who now want to say something relevant. I think I'm perfect for that because I kind of know what it looks like just from a day-to-day thing. It's a good time to let other people speak now because no movement ever does well because one person's like, I'm the prophet of this movement. Everyone has to listen to me. It's always a group of people. there's always a Jimi Hendrix and a Bob Dylan and a this person and a Neil Young. So we need all these artists who maybe were writing about going to the club last week to start saying something. Those are the people that just start shifting their paradigm and writing something. And I openly say, if you need me, if anybody needs me in that way, I'll be there in a second. It's not about money. It's not about, I would love to be behind or produce some of these kinds of, like, maybe a new idea, you know?
I really appreciate that, and that's a really great point and a great call to action there. Before we go, I want to change tack a little bit. Just like the world is starting to open up, I know in Vancouver things are really different than they are in Toronto right now. How are you doing? Are you coming out of the pandemic okay? And what are you looking forward to doing when everything kind of goes back to normal?
My family has some acres in Brooklyn, Ontario. Um, Concession Road Ted up north. They did that 7, 8, 9 years ago. My brother farms potatoes. He chops firewood. So I got trapped in the first part of COVID at this farm. And like
Trapped.
So I was like far away from everything. Like I'd go into town, my hometown of Whitby. It would take me like 30 minutes to drive from my family's farm to go get something. And we were already far from things. So I'm doing fine. The reason why I left Vancouver is like that week that that Trinity Bellwoods Park blew up,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone was like, it was like Coachella. It was amazing. That week, I left the Monday of that weekend because I had people texting being like, I'm going crazy, bro. Like, come down this weekend. And it wasn't something that just happened. Everybody sort of collectively went crazy at the same time. And I remember I was in Vancouver by the time it happened. I was like, I'm so happy that I'm not at Trinity Bellwoods. But if I was in Toronto, I might actually have ended up at this weird thing where it was like talk about a call to action. It was a call to action of like, we all need to meet each other. So I don't know. I don't know what people in Toronto are going through. I will leave you with this. As I look out my window, I see mountains. We got Stanley Park. We've got Crab Park. Like Vancouver is a beautiful place to live. It's expensive, but its lifestyle and its air is amazing. I don't know what people are going through in their dingy downtown Toronto apartment that's so far from
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that have to assess. A lot of people are in Toronto because they're on the hustle.
Yeah.
It might not be the best, most natural place to live, but they're getting work done. And I think it's a huge testament to, it's hard to live in a place, it's hard to be cooped up in a place like that in Toronto where you're not there because it's the most beautiful place on the planet. You're there to work. And I could just imagine how crazy people are going. So I'm fine, but I feel for all my friends who are like dealing with a roommate that they never saw, that all of a sudden they have to see every single day. It's like, yeah, my roommate's cool. I live with someone, but I never see them. Like that has all been blown out of the water.
Now you're together. Now you're stuck, buddy.
So like and that's been going on for a month now. So I don't even know how people are thinking. I'm fine, but I'm more concerned about the people who are out there having to deal with a whole new reality, you know?
Yeah. Well, I hope you stay safe. I hope you get out and get a cup of coffee and do all the things that I can't do.
I mean, you guys will be there soon. The Coachella thing didn't help, but hey, Toronto is just wild. Like the fact that people are just like, screw it, I'm just going outside with the protests. Have there been spikes? Has there been a result of that
Not
yet?
yet. No, we don't have details around that yet. No.
I mean, even in Vancouver, it's like people are very precautious with their social distancing as well. But we'll see what happens, man. I just hope that everyone looks at this as a when they actually do get a chance to leave and leave their house, they appreciate more the freedom of that, because that's all you can really look at is like, now really appreciate your freedom because you've been locked in for so long.
Do you think you're going to appreciate like performing live more now that people, are people going to be able to be in an audience again?
We have gotten information, a lot of us artists, so there's not going to be any live shows till 2021.
Yeah.
Sure, everyone missed festivals. As an older artist, again, to be completely honest, it's like I haven't done a lot of festivals in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really, like I did, like last summer I did a couple shows, but yeah, sure, you missed that. But at the same time, it's like, it's a time for the world to chill. I know a couple people who are the curators of things like Osheaga, and they're just excited. They think that next year people are going to be so excited to do stuff that it's going to be like over the top. So, I'm a Zen Buddhist. It's like, to appreciate something, you have to not have it. So that's how I look at it. It's like to appreciate what you have, sometimes it has to be taken away from you so that you really, really, really appreciate it. And that's the only way we can look at this. All of this is that it's been taken away from us so that when we get it back, we can really fully appreciate it.
Chaos, nice to talk to you.
Always good to talk to you, Tom.